Soft city ambience, faint wind sounds. It was past midnight in downtown Minneapolis. The streets were quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hyper-aware of every sound. A 19-year-old girl stood alone at a dimly lit bus stop, and that's when she saw him, a man walking straight toward her, his long coat swaying in the cold night air. What happened next would leave him running for his dignity. Beat pause. This is the story of how one young woman turned fear into pure humiliation and taught a creeper lesson he'll never forget. The tale of the true story is he tried to scare her at the bus stop, but she made him regret it instantly. If you've ever wanted to see karma served instantly, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story proves that sometimes courage and quick wit can be the best form of revenge. It was a freezing winter night in Minneapolis. The streets were slick with a thin layer of ice that reflected the orange glow of the streetlights. A 19-year-old woman, we'll call her Emily, was waiting for her bus home. She had just left the hospital after sitting with her mom, who had been sick for weeks. Emily was exhausted, emotionally and physically, and the last thing she wanted was trouble. She didn't have a car, so public transportation was her lifeline. The Nicollet Mall was familiar territory, but anyone who's lived in a big city knows, even familiar places feel dangerous after midnight. The only comfort she had was the glow of the plexiglass bus shelter, which was empty when she arrived. She took a deep breath, looked around. No one in sight. Just the hum of a street light and the distant rumble of another bus pulling away. For a moment, she thought she was safe. Then she noticed movement. A man, tall, mid-40s, wearing a long dark coat, walking quickly down the mall. He wasn't staggering like a drum. He wasn't lost. He was walking with purpose. Emily's heartbeat picked up. Every instinct screamed that something was off. She tried to tell herself he was just catching a bus. She glanced down, pulled her jacket tighter, and pretended to check her phone. But he wasn't heading for the bus stop. He was heading for her. Low tension sound builds. When he reached the glass wall of the shelter, he stopped. And then, without a word, he flung open his coat. Emily froze. For half a second, her brain couldn't process what she was seeing. The man had exposed himself, grinning, expecting fear, disgust, maybe even panic. But what he got instead would be his undoing. Emily's first instinct was shock. Her stomach twisted, her hands trembled. But then, something snapped. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was frustration after weeks of emotional strain. Or maybe it was the realization that this pathetic man's goal was to make her afraid. And fear was exactly what she refused to give him. So instead of screaming or running, she laughed. Beat, silence, then faint chuckle. A small, nervous giggle at first, but then a full, uncontrollable laugh. The man blinked, startled, and as Emily looked him dead in the eye, she said, "Yep, that looks like a penis, only smaller." Beat pause, comedic sting sound. The man's grin collapsed. He froze for a moment, eyes wide, then suddenly yanked his coat shut like a child caught doing something wrong. Without another word, he hunched over and ran. Not walked, not swaggered, ran, down the empty street, disappearing into the night. Music shifts to triumphant tone. Emily stood there, heart still racing, realizing what had just happened. Her body shook, not from fear anymore, but from adrenaline. She had turned the script completely. Instead of being his victim, she had made him feel small, pathetic, powerless. She sat down on the cold metal bench, still processing it. In a way, it felt absurd, like something out of a dark comedy. But beneath the laughter was something powerful. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt strong. Not because she wasn't scared, but because she refused to let fear control her. When her bus finally arrived, she got on quietly, took her seat near the window, and stared out at the city lights. She knew she might never see that man again. But she hoped that for once, he would be the one who couldn't sleep that night. Maybe he'd think twice before trying that again. Maybe he'd remember the girl who looked him straight in the eye and laughed. What Emily didn't realize in that moment was how many people have faced similar fear, frozen in place, wishing they could react differently. She had no training, no plan, just pure instinct and a flash of courage. And that made all the difference. Because sometimes, justice isn't about the police, or punishment, or revenge that lasts days. Sometimes it's about one perfect moment, when you refuse to play the role someone assigns you, when you flip the fear back on them. That night, in that small plexiglass bus shelter, a scared young woman became something stronger, not by fighting back physically, but by refusing to give power to the predator in front of her. And that's the kind of revenge that doesn't just humiliate, it haunts. Sometimes, courage isn't loud, it's quiet. It's found in laughter, in defiance, in the refusal to let someone take your peace. Emily may not have planned her reaction that night, but it was perfect. Proof that not every monster gets to win.